It's said that while a child cannot pick their father, a mother certainly has that choice. And in this instance, that decision changed everything. Jesse McFadden, a convicted rapist with an extensive record of sexual offenses, was given the opportunity to act as a father figure to 3 teenagers. But on the day he was due in court, he failed to appear. Instead, authorities found 7 bodies at his residence, all shot in the head, with 2 victims having been sexually assaulted. The pressing question is, how could such a tragedy occur? You'll form your own conclusions by the end of this video, and prepare yourself. This is a case that will stay with you. To begin, this unfolded about a year ago in Henrietta, Oklahoma, and it all started with Holly McFadden. She was a striking 35-year-old mother of 3 teenagers, 2 daughters, Tiffany Guess, aged 13, and Riley Allen, 17, along with a son, Michael Mayo, who was 15. The children had different biological fathers, but they all referred to Tiffany's father, Joe, as their dad. Joe wasn't merely a presence in their lives, he was their anchor. He and Holly had been married for 13 years before divorcing, and he'd been a steadfast figure in Riley's life since she was just a year old. Even after their marriage ended, Joe's devotion to the children never faltered. He treated them as his own and even sought to adopt Michael and Riley. But everything shifted on May 26, 2022, when Holly remarried. She wed Jesse McFadden. And tragically, this is where their story veered into a dark and unforeseen path. From the outside, their life seemed like a fairy tale, a joyful marriage and a blended family thriving harmoniously. Yet no one was prepared for the shocking truth about Jesse that would emerge just a year after their wedding. It remains uncertain whether Holly was aware of his past before they married. What we do know is that her mother discovered Jesse's disturbing history months before the tragedy. We'll explore those details shortly. As for Jesse McFadden, he was born in Kansas and left school after the 9th grade. While living in McAllister, he first encountered legal trouble in 2002 for possessing alcohol as a minor. He later admitted to stealing over $80,000 from his grandfather, pleading guilty to a felony charge of grand larceny. The next year, he was caught twice driving with a suspended license. That same year, Jesse was arrested and charged for attacking a 17-year-old girl at knife point with clear sexual intent. He was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. While incarcerated, Jesse was found with a cell phone for the first time. In 2013, a woman reported that he had been sending her sexual texts for 3 months. In 2016, he was caught with another cell phone, and when authorities seized it, they found explicit conversations, videos, and photos involving a 16-year-old girl named Caitlin. Her grandfather reported their interactions to prison officials. According to an affidavit from a Department of Corrections investigator, Jesse was accused of sending graphic content to Caitlin and engaging in manipulative behavior. Despite needing to serve 85% of his sentence, Jesse's prison time was marked by excellent evaluations for work and education, initially making him eligible for early release. However, the cell phone contraband incident temporarily revoked this privilege before he was ultimately released in October 2020. The question arises, how could someone with such a troubling past secure early release, especially after being caught, repeating the behaviors that led to his imprisonment? It's perplexing why he wasn't kept in jail until his trial, particularly since the cell phone incident should have barred his early release. After his release, Jesse was required to check in with the sheriff's office every 90 days, but he failed to comply. Typically, individuals like him are prohibited from being near places where children gather, such as schools or sports events. Yet he disregarded these restrictions entirely. Recall that Jesse faced accusations again for sexting Caitlin. The trial for that case was delayed for several years, allowing Jesse to marry Holly and serve as a stepfather to her 3 children. It wasn't until May 1, 2023, that the trial was set to begin. Jesse planned to argue in court that he was only communicating with a 20-year-old friend of the 16-year-old girl, not the minor herself. Initially, Joe and Holly had a firm rule. Anyone around their children had to pass a background check. Holly assured Joe that Jesse's check was clear before the trial on May 1st. It's unclear whether Holly overlooked his suspicious behavior or chose to ignore it. What happened remains a mystery. Meanwhile, as they awaited the trial, a series of tragic events unfolded during the last weekend of April 2023. Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer, along with other girls who opted not to join, were invited to spend time at Tiffany's house, where Jesse McFadden was also staying. The weekend was intended for fun, typical teenage activities. On Saturday around noon, Jesse picked up Brittany, planning to take the girls shopping at the mall and then to Main Event, a popular family entertainment center in Tulsa. Ivy kept her mother, Ashley Webster, updated via Snapchat throughout the evening. But the next morning, something felt wrong. Ivy and Brittany's parents received texts from their daughters stating they were heading to McFadden's family property in McAllister. By Monday, the situation grew even more alarming. None of the children, Brittany, Ivy, Tiffany, Michael, or Riley, were on the school bus that passed their homes. Concerned and alarmed, the parents reported them missing to the police. Meanwhile, Jesse McFadden was due in court that Monday for his trial, but never appeared. Officers waited outside his property for a warrant. When they finally obtained one, they were unprepared for the horrific discovery. 7 bodies were found scattered across Jesse McFadden's property. The initial shock of finding Jesse among the dead was only the beginning. As authorities identified the victims, the tragedy deepened. Jesse's wife, Holly, her 3 children, Tiffany, Michael, and Riley, and 2 family friends, Ivy and Brittany, had all been brutally shot in the head with a 9mm pistol, a grim detail indicating cold-blooded violence. Holly McFadden suffered 3 gunshot wounds to the head, and Jesse appeared to have shot himself. The bodies were found in 2 separate locations on the expansive property. Ivy, Brittany, and Riley were discovered about a quarter mile from the house, while the other 4 were found in a dense wooded area. The separation suggested a sinister scenario. They may have been killed in different locations and moved, or they could have been fleeing their killer. It didn't take long for investigators to uncover the tragic truth. Jesse had used the gun on his wife, her children, and their friends before taking his own life. The motive behind these horrific killings remains unclear, but unsettling clues emerged. As mentioned, Jesse was due to start his trial the morning the bodies were found. It's chilling to consider that he may have committed these crimes to bury his dark secrets and prevent his family from learning the horrifying details of his actions. The night before the trial, text messages revealed the depth of Jesse's disturbed mindset. Caitlin shared that she received unsettling messages from him that evening as she prepared for her court appearance in Oklahoma. Around 8:00 p.m., she noticed a Facebook message request from Jesse McFadden. In those messages, he seemed to blame her for not dropping the charges, expressing frustration that his life was unraveling because of her. He wrote, "I did exactly what I promised I would do when I got out. I got a marketing job, made great money, and was advancing. I've been here 2 years now, built a great life like I promised with you. This is all on you for continuing this." In another message, he added, "Now it's all gone. I told you I wouldn't go back." These messages reveal a man desperate to avoid prison and furious that his secrets were about to be exposed. Initially, Caitlin assumed Jesse was blaming her for a personal setback, perhaps a job loss. The messages also suggested he no longer cared about his bail conditions, as contacting her was a clear violation. Choosing not to engage, Caitlin took a screenshot and sent it to Edwards, the McAllister County District Attorney, as a precaution. The next morning, Caitlin received a call from the prosecutor with unsettling news. The trial had been delayed, again because McFadden's lawyer requested more time due to an issue with McFadden's phone. Just half an hour later, Caitlin received another urgent call from the prosecutor, informing her of a missing persons report involving McFadden, Brittany, Brewer, and Ivy Webster. Realizing the severity of the situation, Caitlin quickly packed a bag and rented an Airbnb just 45 minutes away, fearing he might come for her. Crystal Smith, one of Jesse's earlier victims, also spoke out about her traumatic experience and the pain of learning about the killings. She had pleaded with the district attorney not to release Jesse, fearing he would harm others. Crystal shared that the last time she heard about Jesse was when she was 17, when she was told he was high on meth and remorseful for his actions. Despite her efforts to move on, the tragedy brought back gut-wrenching feelings. In her interview, Crystal described the terror she faced when Jesse attacked her at 16. She had been at a party in McAllister and left her truck behind. Jesse showed up at her home, claiming his wife had kicked him out and he needed a place to stay. Despite her attempts to send him away, Jesse forced his way in, gagged her with a sock, tied her to her bed, and subjected her to horrific abuse. In the days following the discovery of the bodies, Caitlin Babb was overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions: guilt, anger, frustration, and deep grief. "I feel horrible. It makes you feel terrible, like you're not even human," Babb said. Her case was set to start trial on Monday. "I was prepared and I was ready. I've been ready for 6 years. But McFadden was a no-show, and the gruesome news broke. It was terrible, especially when it's something that could have been prevented, and it never should have happened." Ivy and Brittany's parents were stunned by Jesse's past, unaware of his criminal history. They thought the weekend sleepover was a normal event. Nathan Brewer, Brittany's dad, described Jesse as a nice guy. Ashley Webster, Ivy's mom, said their families had been friends since late 2020 and that she was unaware of Jesse's background. She described Tiffany and Ivy as best friends, noting that Tiffany was like another child to their family. Holly's mother, Jeanette Mayo, also expressed her shock. She revealed that her daughter was deceived by Jesse McFadden's charm. Jeanette noticed that Jesse exerted tight control over Holly, dictating where she could go, whom she could see, and even tracking the kids' cell phones when they were out. Jesse was distant and reserved around Jeanette and her husband, adding to their confusion. They were the first to discover Jesse's criminal record when, months before the murders, Jeanette's husband was researching a co-worker's criminal history and stumbled upon Jesse's past. Jeanette and her husband confronted Holly, who eventually asked Jesse for an explanation. With his manipulative mind, Jesse reportedly hired someone to convince Holly that his prior legal troubles were a misunderstanding and that he hadn't harmed anyone in 2003. Despite Holly's assurance that Jesse had passed a background check, significant concerns remained. "I was probably the most outspoken family member about Jesse being a registered sex offender," Jeanette said. "Anytime we tried to approach the situation, she was punished, she was shut down, she was constantly on eggshells. She had to accept things if she wanted to keep an eye on the grandkids and talk to her daughter." A few days after the tragic murders, the victims' families and a sheriff's investigator were allowed to visit the house where their loved ones spent their final days. What they found was shocking. Multiple beds were equipped with restraints and chains locked in place. In the kitchen, an island had a chain and lock attached. The house was filled with disturbing items: bondage toys, restraining devices, lubrication bottles, and witchcraft-related books. Drug paraphernalia was scattered throughout, including what appeared to be drugged candy. Investigators collected a trove of evidence: computers, cell phones, dirty bed sheets, and other disturbing materials. Among the evidence, one family found their daughter's cell phone along with several other devices, multiple computers, and 2 laptops. They also uncovered a bloody wet wipe, 5 more phones, and additional disturbing items hidden in a closet: cell phones, laptops, sex, and bondage devices. Over 2 weeks, officials collected at least 2 hard drives, 9 cell phones, palm and fingerprints from McFadden's truck, and various purchase receipts. A storage unit under McFadden's wife's name was also searched. When the family called the police to report this, they were shockingly told to leave the property. Then a notebook surfaced, filled with names, including the 6 people Jesse had murdered. Given what was found in the house, many wonder if Holly knew about Jesse's twisted actions. The house's condition was beyond appalling, a clear sign that something horrific had been happening for a long time. It's shocking how this evidence was overlooked, possibly due to sheer negligence by law enforcement. Allowing the family into the crime scene before it was fully cleared is unthinkable. And that notebook, it's chilling to think Jesse might have done this before, with everything meticulously planned. In an emotional interview, Ivy's parents shared their belief that Jesse impersonated their daughter in a text they received on Sunday, after he had already killed her. Ashley, Ivy's mom, shared that she had been texting with Ivy late Saturday night, but the message she received the next morning felt off. The text said Ivy was going to McAllister and would be home later, but they now believe Jesse sent it, and Ivy was likely already gone. Ashley described Ivy as a wonderful kid who loved animals, people, and playing softball. Ivy was known for her big heart and the way she cared for everyone around her. Above all, Ivy was Ashley's best friend, always thoughtful in her texts, messaging before and after most activities, and never forgetting to say, "I love you." So when Ivy texted about going swimming in McAllister with specific wording that felt different, Ashley brushed it off, thinking Ivy was just in a rush. Ivy's parents also noted that they found Jesse a bit odd, but felt it was safe for Ivy to go to his house since her friends often hung out there. Tiffany frequently visited their home, even staying over on weekends, and they never noticed anything strange during those times. Jesse had everyone convinced he was a great guy, a loving husband, and a caring father figure. Brittany's father, Nathan, fought back tears as he spoke about his daughter, her outgoing personality, and her dreams of becoming a teacher or a vet. Brittany was also selected to be Miss July in a local pageant, part of the Miss National pageant in Tulsa, and both she and her loved ones were excited about it. Her dad is heartbroken that she won't experience that or anything else. Jeanette, who tragically lost 4 family members, spoke out about her daughter and grandchildren. She described Holly as a fantastic mother, overprotective, and deeply devoted to her children. As for Jesse, he didn't deserve an easy way out. His actions demanded far more than a quick end. He needed to face true justice and suffering for what he did. Even those who knew him in prison have come forward, shedding light on how twisted he was. James Fleming, who shared a cell with McFadden at Joseph Harp Correctional Center in 2015, described him as a very sexual person, noting that their conversations often took unsettling and inappropriate turns. He talked about sex all the time, Fleming said. It wasn't just occasionally, it was constant. I told someone recently, if I hadn't been strong mentally and physically, I believe he would have tried to molest me. Fleming also shared how learning about McFadden's past changed his perception. When you find out something like that, it just shifts everything you think about a person because it's so horrific. He tried to justify his actions, but I knew better. You don't get a 20-year sentence for statutory rape if you're 18, and the girl is 17 and her parents just got upset. It's much worse than that. Locked up with a dangerous man, Fleming was serving time for burglary when he met Jesse McFadden, who, as police say, killed 5 children, his wife, and himself. His weird sexual predator side just came out of him. Everything we talked about always led to a sexual comment or innuendo. Knowing that 2 friends were molested before their deaths has left many questioning how someone like Jesse McFadden could slip through the cracks despite his past and the red flags. Why were the signs ignored? And how did the system fail so many innocent lives? Even though Jesse McFadden tried to reinvent himself by marrying Holly and playing the role of a good dad for a while, the disturbing items found in their home, hand, restraints, sex toys, and explicit books, were massive warning signs. It's clear that Holly might have been manipulated into thinking all this was normal. So when you meet new people, keep this case in mind. You can't always judge someone instantly, and you never know what secrets they might be hiding. The world is a vast place, so stay vigilant. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and check out our other true crime stories. Take care, and see you in the next one.